In Walmart's Who Knewville, everyone ready their cart. Amazing Black Friday deals are about to start. Online and in the app, such great deals to explore. Everything you love from tech, toys, and more. The days to save and the ones to remember. It's only the 25th to the 30th of November. Set your alarms. Don't miss out. These deals are epic, without a doubt. The Who's are all ready, but are you? Walmart Black Friday deals await. Who knew?
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo.
There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do? I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
Breaking news are happening now.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Reality Flash. My name is Mike Bloom, and I'm here to bring you the flashiest breaking news in the wide world of reality TV. Today, MTV closed out October with quite a fright, as it has canceled one of the cornerstones of its current programming. It's a series of events that can only be described in one word: ridiculousness. But first, of course, we're talking on Halloween about this news, but I'm not about that trick or treat. I'm all about those subs and those tips. So please subscribe to the Reality Flash if you haven't already. You can do so at therealityflash.com, because sometimes a network decides to cancel a show that has accumulated thousands of episodes for them out of the blue. And so I'll make sure to be in your eyes and ears, giving you the information that you need to know when it drops. And speaking of that news, we want to hear from you when that news pops up in your neck of the woods. There's a lot of reality TV to cover out there. So if there's something you want me to talk about here on this podcast, no spam, no solicitations, and God help us, no York peppermint patties. No offense, folks, just cannot stand eating toothpaste. Just tips at therealityflash.com. Now I'm wondering if this news will get overwhelmed by just the peppermint patty stands coming for me in the comments, and I'm not talking about Marcy. Well, as we're staying on the Halloween note, of course, I am dressed up for the festive occasion. I decided to costume myself as MTV's current slate of programming. Just Bones. That is because today it was announced by TMZ and Variety that MTV has officially canceled Ridiculousness. How to describe this show to you all? I do want to go into a little bit of detail here. I know we try to assume a baseline amount of information when it comes to this type of show, but I mean, I imagine if you're not a big fan of the challenge, especially, you don't necessarily know Ridiculousness, as that has been one of the more affiliated running memes going on with the show proper. So let me describe briefly what Ridiculousness is and the impact of this cancellation. So Ridiculousness is an MTV show hosted by Rob Dyrdek. Rob Dyrdek has had a very interesting arc in his career. He started as a professional skater and then sort of parlayed that into a reality TV entertainment producing mogul-esque career on the network. You know, real ones remember Rob and Big and Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory. Kids, you might not realize this, but really, back in the day, if you were a professional skateboarder, you were basically a god in a Billabong shirt. And so Rob was kind of given the keys to the kingdom, in a manner of speaking, after he started producing all of these, popular shows for MTV. And so came Ridiculousness in the year 2011, August 29th to be exact. And Ridiculousness is probably best described as sort of a communal America's Funniest Home Videos, where essentially Rob and, a consistent panel of people, usually it was like 2 set co-hosts and like a rotating guest every week, but essentially just watch a bunch of funny internet videos and then make commentary on it throughout. Just a bunch of one-liners. And yes, this has produced one of the most successful shows in MTV history. Do not underestimate what unscripted programming can bring to the hearts, minds, and souls of the people out there. I mean, truly, that's what it was. This was sort of just like a panel show where, especially from the Ridiculousness perspective, it was looking at a lot of like people attempting amateur stunts, which makes sense. Of course, this was a good amount of time after the peak of Jackass in the zeitgeist, but of course, people want to consistently follow in Mr. Knoxville's footsteps, which are just laden with nut punches and lacerations and many, many walking wounds. And so they sort of take a habit to watch these and then just sort of make commentary about it every half hour, basically on the hour. The reason why this ends up becoming so notable is that up until its cancellation, and we'll talk about the fact that technically, this will still keep going. Essentially, the announcement has given away here that Ridiculousness has been canceled after 46 seasons, but technically will still be airing new episodes through next year, through 2026. They had gotten some episodes in the can prior to apparently the crew and the higher-ups being told this week that the show would no longer continue. But this show has gone on running consistently for over 14 years. And by the math of, a couple of brainiacs out there and people with way too much time on their hands, more than 1,700 episodes. It's ran for 46 seasons. The episode counts have really varied. Some have gone as high as like the mid 40s. There was one season that had 4 episodes in it that ran from April 14th to April 21st last year. And then another season started right after it. I mean, I know that people complain about South Park this year that just kind of like dropped a 4-episode season, then picked one right back up without really demarcating any sort of barrier between the two. But who would have thought Ridiculousness actually ended up doing it first? And so, yeah, 1,700 episodes of Ridiculousness. I know that the internet is vast and wide and ever expansive in terms of the content that are in it, but like, surely they had to run into a duplicate, right? I mean, I think what's interesting is unlike AFV, it does seem like these are videos that like Dyrdek and company sought out. This is not, hey, submit your videos of you trying to, I don't know, ride a skateboard down a slick set of metal stairs at the playground and see what happens. And, we'll give you a certain amount of money. They pretty much source these clips online and get the permission to be able to discuss them and mostly lampoon them. But just to put things into context here, 1,700 episodes at half an hour apiece amounts to 850 hours of television that this show has occupied for nearly a decade and a half. Just to put it in further context, Survivor is, of course, about to celebrate its 50th season. It has been on the air 25 years, a quarter of a decade longer than Ridiculousness. It airs 2 seasons a year. Some of these seasons have 2-hour episodes, 3-hour finales. Survivor, if you add up the hours, is in the 700s. And Ridiculousness has still put out more content than one of the most veteran reality shows currently running today. I want to say it's ridiculous, but honestly, it would be a little too far on the nose. So far on the nose that Dyrdek and company are laughing about all the blood that is gushing out of said nose. Let me try to use a visual as even a further example behind this. This is from an account called MTV Schedule that was pretty active until a couple of years ago, I would say, where they would habitually post graphics of what the schedule for MTV was going to look like for the week. This is for the week of April 25th to May 1st, 2022. So we are in the thick of it. Let me just double check here. This is, I believe we're encroaching upon the back half of season 25, the 42 episode season of Ridiculousness. And I don't want to make this an eye test for anybody. If you are watching the video version of this, all you could say is, girl, look how fucking orange you look. And that orange is Ridiculousness. As you can see, Ridiculousness takes up a profuse amount of MTV's programming on any given day. In fact, in this very example, you could see that for, Monday, from the very beginning of the day until about like 3 a.m., it's all Ridiculousness. And then there's a series of Catfish episodes, and then it goes back to like dip your toes in the Ridiculousness waters, and then you're back out again. Here's a really fun one. Sunday, the Lord rests. Rob Dyrdek, God bless his heart, does not, as there is an entire block only of Ridiculousness. If you turned on MTV at any point in time during that day, you would have been watching this show. I think it's something that a lot of people have certainly maligned, especially those who are fans of the challenge of like, you don't re-air our show that puts out new episodes, has become such a big feeder of all these reality TV shows and is, the favorite piece of programming of so many reality TV fans out there. But you decide to fill every waking and sleeping hour with Ridiculousness. And I kid you not, folks, there are spin-offs of Ridiculousness. I did not realize until I did my research on, I suppose, the franchise, the Ness franchise here. So across the 14 years that Ridiculousness has come on, there have been 4 different spin-offs. The first is Amazingness, which was hosted by Rob Dyrdek and is essentially like an America's Got Talent clone, if Ridiculousness is the America's Funniest Home Videos clone, where essentially they brought in 6 people every episode to showcase their talents and compete for $10,000. Then there is Deliciousness, and God, the creator of Mad Libs must be absolutely furious that they could not come up with a more random list of individuals than what I'm about to read out right now for these next 3 shows. So Deliciousness was focused on food fail videos, and it was hosted by Kelly Kapowski herself, Tiffany Amber Thiessen, with Angela Kinsey from The Office, and Kel Mitchell on the panel. Of course, there's Adorableness, which is all about the cute stuff that happens online. That was hosted by Buffy and How I Met Your Mother fan favorite Allison Hannigan, and co-hosted by the hilarious Ross Matthews. And then, finally, there's Messiness. Surprisingly, not hosted by Faisal Shafat, but by Snooki, featuring a panel that includes Tori Spelling and Adam Rippon. I really thought that Dancing with the Stars and The Masked Singer were sort of like these big stops that celebrities would take when they felt their careers were on the decline, but I guess I was incorrect. The Ness train is what they would all be hopping on and getting off at their various stations. And so, through just sheer volume, Ridiculousness has become, up to this point, up through its cancellation, one of the biggest constants and biggest pieces that MTV has had to rely on to just fill time. And so it's pretty dang shocking that it is outright canceled. Not being winnowed down to only a few episodes a season. It is outright done. Now, again, I should clarify here that it does seem like there will be new episodes that will be airing into 2026, and there will be some that will be airing on Paramount Plus as well as MTV. And the reasoning behind this is a little enigmatic. We're going to get into this actually in just a little bit when we talk about how this might affect other pieces of MTV programming, let alone the challenge. But the direct quote that is being provided from sources that are informing these publications is, quote, "The company is working to reimagine MTV for the future with a more curated slate featuring fresh formats, different creative voices, and refreshed programming." With no offense to the, I'll outright say, empire that Mr. Dyrdek has put together for 15 years and 850 hours, I think none of that describes ridiculousness at this point. So let our flags fly half-mast, and then let us promptly get smacked in the groin with said flagpole as we bid adieu to ridiculousness. Though I don't think it's necessarily going away. Here's the thing. You saw that schedule. All of those orange slots were not necessarily new episodes of this show. This show subsists on reruns. And so I think, again, appropriate to the Halloween season, this is one hell of a zombie show. And no matter what direction MTV is going to go on with these sort of edicts that they have espoused, I think this is going to be a lot of fluff and filler that they are going to stuff into those lineups, either when they need to fill these random hours where people might be up at 3 a.m. ordering a Krabby Patty like Patrick, or if certain shows are not getting the ratings that they want to, hey, just switch in ridiculousness. People will love that at the end of the day. And chances are, even if you've seen all 1,700 plus episodes, you probably do not remember one from the other 1,699 that you have seen. So that's the news concerning ridiculousness proper. But what does this mean for MTV in general, especially in an ever-shifting landscape around the unscripted genre? I'll be back in a flash to tell you what I think this all means about the bigger picture.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
speaking into the void?
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit purina.com/purple to learn more.
Hello, I'm Diane Morgan. If you know who I am, you know who I am. If you don't, who cares? I'm here to explain Italian Time, a holiday phenomenon where Italians throw away their clocks and gather for eternity with San Pellegrino. I've been at this party so long that I've eaten 5 courses, hugged someone's grandma twice, and been offered a job in the family restaurant. So this holiday season, make sure to bring enough San Pellegrino to last you through the meal, the after meal, and the entire goodbye ritual. San Pellegrino, holiday on Italian Time.
So Ridiculousness has been canceled, and it's a fairly shocking revelation, chiefly because, as I mentioned, as we alluded to beforehand with this graphic, just how much MTV relies on this show to fill out the day to day. This isn't taking out one specific piece from the Jenga tower, hoping that things still remain in the balance. This is taking out basically 3/4 of your tower at a time and hoping that the pieces will resemble something that people will want to live in, essentially. So let's talk a little bit more and perhaps dive into, again, some of this vague reasoning that was given to these publications as they reported the news about the cancellation. Again, I will read out the statement here that the company is working to reimagine MTV for the future with a more curated slate featuring fresh formats, different creative voices, and refreshed programming. MTV it's weird to say at a crossroads because let's face it, it has really stopped being MTV for a long time. It has dropped the M and kept the TV, considering how much this network was the cutting edge and the hot new thing when it came to being an artist. When you were on TRL, you basically had made it. And now, with music being so readily available in so many different environments, there just doesn't necessarily need to be a network, let alone multiple networks for that type of thing. Shout out to MTV too. So I do remember conflicting reports, if people can correct me here. I feel like, there was some talk about MTV trying to beef up their original music programming again to really try to get back in that zeitgeist. I mean, listen, nostalgia is the opiate of the masses at this point. If people want to say, I want my MTV, this is the type of MTV that they want. But this also might indicate that they might just be willing to kind of like wipe the slate clean. They might want to say, okay, this stuff has kept the network running for, 30 plus years. But does Gen Alpha really care about Rob Dyrdek? Does Gen Alpha really care about Catfish? And so this might be a rationale for the higher ups to kind of cut baits, to use a catfish metaphor, and go to a new lake and start fishing once again. It should also be mentioned here, of course, a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that is going on with Paramount, which is MTV's parent company with Viacom CBS. Of course, they were pursuing this merger with Skydance. It has unfortunately produced a cavalcade of layoffs and changes and, dissolving of departments and adding of new departments and roles. And so this could also be part of it as well. Paramount experienced thousands of layoffs in the past week due to the merger. And so this might just be par for the course too of, okay, if we're looking at the bottom line, granted, it feels like Ridiculousness was operated on a budget basically right now of like 5 cents and a dream from an executive. But this could be something where they're looking at the bottom line and saying, okay, is this show, producing at the level that it's taking in? And maybe it's not. Looking at the challenge ratings, certainly compared to broadcast TV, definitely not millions that are watching, especially live, and especially so much at any given time for Ridiculousness. I don't know, the stats they give of like, every 5 seconds another child is born. Like every minute, essentially, you could be watching a different episode of Ridiculousness somewhere in the world at any point in time. And so MTV is pursuing this new course. Now, we don't know a lot of details as of yet as to what exactly this means. Again, these are very kind of juicy buzzwords, right? Fresh formats, different creative voices, refresh programming. The freshness is really what they're trying to go for here. I think they're looking to revive the MTV brand, and I'm not entirely sure what that's going to mean because I think MTV is also like considered a very specific type of network at this point. People sort of just remember it for what it was and low key what it has become, which was like a, hosting site for essentially 3 different shows that keep getting shown again and again and again. And so the reason why I essentially brought this news up is not only the fact that this show, which was such a constant in the equation of MTV, is now being removed entirely, with the exception of reruns, which, let's face it, will essentially run past any sort of nuclear winter we might get into at this point. It will be the cockroaches and Rob Dyrdek that will be able to repopulate the earth after all this. I do not want to read that fan fiction, by the way. But I think the main reason why I wanted to talk about this is getting into, of course, a show that is near and dear to the hearts of a lot of us here on RHAP, The Challenge. And, I don't think it's completely coincidental that when I was hearing about what was talked about on Johnny Bananas' podcast last week, Death, Taxes, and Bananas, and it feels like Death, Taxes, and Ridiculousness would have been the motto of MTV up until this piece of news dropped. it seems like there might be some cause for concern for one of the longest running reality shows, period. Bananas expressed that whether due to flagging ratings, maybe it was a bit of a canary in the coal mine of there just being larger shifts at MTV proper. Apparently, according to him, the executives are sort of shopping the idea of bringing the challenge to Paramount Plus permanently. Now, this is not the first time that the challenge has been available on streaming, though if you're trying to check out the challenge proper on streaming, good freaking luck watching live. But of course, if you have checked out any of the All-Star seasons or the spin-offs, which you absolutely should, honestly, if you're a challenge fan, like, check out those spin-offs. You are not spending half a year of your life watching a challenge season. You are more so checking out, some OGs or people in a more truncated format. They get to cuss. They could say whatever the hell they want. It's a grand old time. And so, given the fact that, the challenge has shown at least some success on a streaming platform, if they were to make their way off of MTV, that would be the first stop. And it might be the last stop, or at least what Bananas is kind of proselytizing at this point, where he's essentially saying, if the show does make the big jump for the first time off of television and onto, a smaller screen, in a manner of speaking, ratings are going to be more important than ever for the upcoming season 42, which hasn't been confirmed, but allegedly availability calls are already going out for that to film sometime probably early next year at this point. And what he supposes is that, if the show goes to Paramount Plus and it doesn't do incredibly well, they might 86 after 42. The challenge, shockingly, might be gone after that point. Now, look, let us not put the cart before the horse here. Let us not put the CT before the backpack. This is not to say that, like, oh my God, the challenge is on its way out. There's a lot up in the air at this point. Look, I've been watching the show for a long time. I know that taking Johnny Bananas at his word is a fool's errand at best. And so this could just be a way to sort of, rouse up enough fans' attention to have them not only watch this season proper, but show more investment to the show in general, to indicate to Paramount that this, despite it being one of the most tenured pieces of MTV's programming, is something that should be kept around and is still celebrated by a lot of people out there on the internet. But after hearing this last week and then hearing about Ridiculousness this week, MTV might flat out be undergoing a full-on makeover. And that might mean cleaning house on a lot of the stuff we thought was going to last longer than the network. So again, this particular piece of news is pure speculation, all up in the air, but it definitely tickled my brain a little bit when I heard that Ridiculousness would not be producing any new episodes after 2026, and whether this should be a sign of what's to come for the challenge, or if, like Natalie Negrotti in one infamous challenge final, we should take a look at that side and run the other way. So, let me know your thoughts. Do you think this might be some sort of flag as to what might be happening with the challenge in the future? Would you want to see the challenge on Paramount Plus instead of MTV? God help us if they drop the episodes on Paramount Plus at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays as well. What the hell are you doing? You're eating your own numbers at this point. And if you have any sort of experience or thoughts on Ridiculousness as well, again, outside of the memes that have been created in the challenge community, feel free to let me know in the comments or on social media at a Mike Bloom type. Once again, make sure you subscribe to our feed at therealityflash.com so you don't miss an iota of news that is coming out of the reality TV space. Seems like a lot of changes coming, in particular in the Paramount corner. And so I would not be surprised if they'll come back here at some point within the next 2 months, the rest of the year, with more news as to what might be coming our way, or particularly what might not be coming our way anymore moving forward. And of course, if you have any news out there that you want me to talk about, no spam, no solicitations, you know what, throw York peppermint patty in there, okay? I feel bad. Now I feel bad. Just tips at therealityflash.com. That's going to do it for this episode of The Reality Flash. I hope those of you who celebrate Halloween had a fantastic evening out. Make sure you grab all of the treats on the way out. And, hopefully you don't trip falling down the stairs on the way out of trick-or-treating, because Rob Dyrdek is always watching. I'll be back in your eyes and ears with more reality TV news as it breaks. Until next time, everybody, you've just been flashed.